Welcome to Waiting on the Trade, a comics book club for people who can't keep up with monthly comics. I'm Matt Ledger.
I'm Patrick Fitzgerald Fleck.
And I'm Tyler Marifke.
This month we're talking about The Death of Doctor Strange, a 5-issue miniseries by Jed MacKay, Lee Garbett, Antonio Fabela, and Corey Petit, in which Doctor Strange dies not just once, but 3 times. What a value!
That last one was such bullshit.
I
Goddamn.
want to talk about the last one.
Holy crap.
In case that little summary didn't do it for you and you need more of a refresher, I will tell you that The Death of Doctor Strange starts with Doctor Strange's murder, but quickly becomes an examination of the Doctor's life when a past version of Strange appears to solve his own murder. Prior Strange must also stop dark forces from invading our dimension, untangle his future self's love life, and most importantly, figure out when he stopped saying vows. Oh, that was a tongue twister of a summary. Actually, I think I was telling you this before we started recording, Tyler, but I don't always run these summaries past Pat when I write them, but I did run this one past him because it just seemed like there was so much to pack into it. It's a weird
There was
story.
a lot. There was a lot. You're not lying. There was a lot. And I didn't even pick this one. This one you sent
I was
to
going to
me.
ask.
Yeah, so this one was me.
Yeah. So
Have you?
but I'm a Doctor Strange fan, so I was like, yeah.
I thought I was too.
Yeah.
You didn't like this book? Pat.
We'll get there.
Pat.
Tyler's in the middle of blaming you for this cover.
Well, I'm not totally blaming. It's something. It's not bad.
Oh god, it's another one of these conversations where the three of us read a book and I liked the book the most.
No, it's. I don't want to say it's strange because that's too on the nose, but
also that's a giveaway for my question, so you can't start giving your opinion about that.
Yeah, I'm not going to, but it's just very different. But this is probably the most recent comic I've read in a long time, which is why I was excited to do it because I'm out of the game. I am very much out of the loop right now of all this stuff. And when Matt suggested this, I was all about it. I was like, heck yeah, new Doctor Strange stuff, why not? And then I got to the end and I went, what did I just read?
So I can tell you why I suggested it. There's several factors in play.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
One,
Yeah.
I've been reading the most recent Doctor Strange series, which is by the same writer, and oh gosh, now I'm trying to remember who's on art for that. I think it's Jesus Saiz. Anyways, I wrote up a nice little review of what was then at the time the most recent single issue of that, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think both of you would probably like that, which is why I was like, oh, well, this...
Let me recommend a comic that isn't that.
Well, so this overall story that is going on in that miniseries, or in that ongoing series, started in this miniseries from 2021, which is the most recent comic that Tyler has read up to this point.
Yeah.
And I know that Jed MacKay has a solid fan base from working on Black Cat, which I've read some of and it was really fun, and Moon Knight, which I have not read as much of, but I've heard really good things about. And I was like, okay. Those are characters that are kind of in Tyler's wheelhouse. We all like Doctor Strange. I think this Jed MacKay guy is alright. We'll read this miniseries that is kind of the lead-in to the current ongoing Doctor Strange series, which I'm really enjoying. It'll be good. I was wrong, apparently. I don't know. I liked it, guys.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm definitely not saying it's bad. It's just different. It's something about it, which is how I came up with my question too, which we won't go into yet. But it's just the pacing, the storytelling, all of it was just. But I like the mix of the current characters with classic Strange and
past Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I thought
whose
that was
face
kind of
is
cool.
slightly more angular as a throwback to the classic Steve Ditko art.
Yeah. That I read on my new tablet as he intended per Pat. Like Pat said.
So I guess, do we want to just open it with your question, Tyler? I think we're kind of already touching on it anyway.
I guess we a little bit are. So my question was this a throwback comic? Kind of a throwback to the way comics used to be written and the stories were told? How I came up with the question, because it kind of... The art is all really modern. Like the art's fantastic, but like there's a lot of little things that seem throwback to me. Not only Doctor Strange's art himself and the fact that he's an actual throwback Doctor Strange, but when they bring in the Avengers, right? They're kind of in their classic garb. They don't ever call each other by their names like they normally do nowadays. Like nobody calls Iron Man Iron Man. They call him Tony, and they
So
call.
I really appreciate that as a person who like got so tired of the era of DC Comics in 2007 where everyone was calling each other by their like real name in the field. Like it's such nonsense because like why even have a secret identity at that point, which most of the Avengers don't at this point anyways. I think none of those Avengers actually have a secret identity that showed up in that
That
panel
show up, yeah.
actually. So that's funny, but like that was very throwback to me of everyone saying each other's names in the dialogue, like to make sure you know who's who. Like that happens a lot. It happens like right after Strange dies, and they're kind of like, Brother Voodoo, is that his aura? And it's like, yes, it is. Bats, is that like Thelma? Is that?
Yeah, it just felt very throwback. Even the pacing of the storytelling, the fact that it was a one and done villain, the fact it just all screamed old school, but done in a fish out of water kind of way. So I think it's a throwback comic to the good old days of the golden era, if you will, of comics. But I don't know. I'm curious to hear you guys' opinion on that.
I think it's definitely playing in that space on purpose. Like, I had a couple things I noticed when I was rereading it this morning that I think kind of play into that feeling. So in the beginning of it, we get kind of the typical. It's kind of been typical since like at least the 80s style of like superhero comic, where instead of getting thought balloons and stuff, you get like in those little narration box narrations, like those red and yellow boxes that are like giving you Strange's inner monologue as he's doing stuff.
Yeah.
And like those are very like started getting like really overused in kind of that same era, like the early to late 2000s, of just like the character is saying something in their head and they're doing something on panel, and like sometimes those things match up, but very often they don't. It's like a running monologue that's just what they're thinking, and they're doing different stuff at the same time. And noticeably after Strange dies and is replaced by Past Strange, like those just go away. They're not in it until like Present Strange comes back into it, which I think is a cool choice. And I hadn't really even noticed so much until reading it today that not only do they go away when our Doctor Strange dies, like as you expect, but then they come back when he comes back. Like that's kind of cool, and it definitely gives you some of that old school feeling where you're just reading the story and you're not living in Doctor Strange's head at the same time, which I kind of prefer sometimes, honestly. Like there's a lot of extra reading you have to do when when a character is thinking and there's stuff happening on the page. So
Yeah, I agree. I guess I didn't even notice the fact that they go away, but I'm quick scrolling through, and you're right. They're gone. They are completely gone.
yeah, they just like drop off basically. I think it's on the page where past Doctor Strange shows up is where the last one is until our Doctor Strange comes back.
That's crazy. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, you're right.
And the other thing that was kind of cool was that like the chapter breaks are sort of more the way that old comics used to do it too. Like it used to be one story in a single issue, but it'd be like divided into parts or whatever. And I really like that this story did that. I think it was cool. And it also played with the pacing in a weird way because like each like you never knew how many pages each chapter was going to be. Like there's the chapter where they confront Baron Mordo in his castle, and I think that chapter's like 5 pages or something. Like it's not a third of a comic book long, I don't think.
Yeah,
So that was kind of cool.
that one kind of threw me off because you're right. It's like I have it here. It's like 6 pages tops.
Yeah,
It's
and I
crazy.
think even the chapter before that was pretty short too. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is kind of cool because like a lot of the old Doctor Strange stories I think used to be like 8 pagers. So
yeah, it's got a very old school feel for sure.
yeah, and I also like that made it so I couldn't really. There were a couple chapter breaks that it felt like the end of issue like cliffhangers to me, but other than that, it didn't really feel like a lot of collections. You know, you get like it's just a bunch of single issues bound together. You can tell where one stops and one starts. And this just read like a story for the most part. And that was kind of a cool feeling to get out of a Marvel book. That's not a thing that you get a lot these days.
Can we real quick talk about that quick Baron Mordo chapter?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just fantastic. And the whole thing being all of, 8 pages or whatever it is. But that speech that Strange is given as he's walking up to that door, you're like, oh yeah, this guy means business. He is. There's no more Strangeisms. There's no more, fun. There's no more. It's time. Like it's Michael Buffer somewhere. It's chanting, "Let's get ready to rumble." Like
I do
they're
like
about
that
to go.
past Strange is meaner. Like, I enjoyed that. Like, it's really, I don't know, Pat and I were talking a little bit even before we started recording about how people change over time. And I do like that past Strange is just like noticeably more of a dick than current Strange, who has, I guess, been softened by not living in the Himalayas for years.
He is a badass in this, that's for sure. And you get the feeling that like current Strange, when he's at the beginning of it, like he's almost just like bored. Like he's like, yeah, I have to do this. Okay, this sucks, and I'm needed over here. Now I got to go do this, and now I'm teaching a class, and now I'm fighting zombies, and now I'm just eating a cheeseburger, and now it's like, okay, I got to knock on my door. Here we go. Gets all done up and Doctor Strangey, and then he gets murdered.
I mean, I think the things he's most excited about in that like opening montage of like this is what Doctor Strange is about these days is the non-magical surgery he performs and the cheeseburger he eats. Like, I think those are the things that are making his day, and none of it's really the magic stuff.
He's almost bored.
Yeah, a little bit.
Speaking of, Pat, you've been very quiet.
Oh, what? I'm sorry, huh?
Pat didn't like this comic book.
No, I didn't. But I could definitely see the throwback that Tyler was pointing out. I think it's dripping in melodrama. There's so many close-up shots of the older Strange with his angular face and his eyeshadow that he doesn't have in modern day. Lots of bum
And his
bum
his
bum.
tights instead of his just like normal ass pants.
That's right. That's right. Man, I love those gloves. I should never have gotten rid of those gloves.
He has them again in the current series. I think I showed you that actually.
You did.
In the current
I'm so
ongoing,
happy.
which is why I was like, well, like this book, he's got his gloves.
Leopard spot gloves.
So Pat, I want to dig more into what you didn't like about the book, but I have like one more thing to hit on in regards to Tyler's
Please
question
do.
first.
Yeah.
And we were talking before we recorded about this potentially just being our Elkhorn, Wisconsin episode of the podcast, where we just talk about Elkhorn, Wisconsin. And I'm gonna push us in that direction for a minute. So after
We got a Taco Bell, so everyone's welcome.
Not yet. We don't have a Taco Bell. We're getting there.
It's fine. Soon.
They're working on it.
Only 3 meals in Elkhorn still right now. 4th meal still coming.
Yes.
So after I had forced us to read this book, I guess is the correct verb, given you guys' reactions. Kat and I, my wife, went to the Elkhorn Flea, because we go to the Elkhorn Flea every once in a while now, I guess. Which I don't know if you guys have been to the Elkhorn Flea. Have you guys
I've never been. I've
Flea
never
market?
been.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So it's a flea market. It's at the county.
Why do you
fairground.
drop the market part of that?
That's what it's called, man. I don't.
That
make
makes
the
me
rules.
irrationally upset. I don't like that you did that. Call
What
it
makes
what
you
it
more
is.
upset? The fact that Matt made you read this book, or the fact
You
that
know what?
I
This
chose
one,
that
it's a
family?
toss-up. It's a toss-up. I don't like either of them.
Sorry, I apologize. It's called the Elkhorn Flea. I feel like, but I looked it up and now it's Elkhorn Antique.
It's like the
Market.
bullshit that Sun Prairie was called Fun Prairie
Fun
while I lived there.
Prairie.
I had no say in that equally, and I am equally upset about it. So,
Was it?
I'm sorry,
was
go
it,
ahead.
Was it Fun Prairie until it blew up?
No, it blew
It's
up, and then they
Fun
tried to
Prairie after
rebrand
it blew
it.
Okay.
And let me tell you, as someone who lived a block away from a building that doesn't exist anymore, it didn't do anything to help.
The fun factor was way lower after that happens. for
Right?
sure.
Like the surprise is just gone at that point. Come on.
All right, we're not talking about
Anyways.
Fun Prairie right now. We're talking about Elkhorn.
The flea.
Talking about Elkhorn
Talking
and
about
their
the
flea.
flea. Yes.
Talking about other cities in Wisconsin right now, guys. So, anyways, at the Elkhorn Antique Flea Market, you're welcome, Pat.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
There are various vendors who sell comic books.
Sure.
Most of them are absurdly overpriced. They're at least like double the price you should be asking for the books that they're trying to sell. Don't really buy from any of them. But there is one man near the back of the Elkhorn Antique Flea Market who sells comics at a reasonable price. And so I went there because this is the second time we've gone, and I was like, oh, I don't know if it'll be all the same people and all in the same spots. Like it mostly was. It seems
Sure.
like it's mostly the same people show up every time. So we walked to the back. I will not say on air exactly where this guy is because he's the only guy who sells comics at a reasonable price at the
Well,
Elkhorn
you see, when you
Antique
go to the
Market.
old man and buy a comic book, you turn around and he's not there.
Gone. No,
The
he and his
stall is
wife
just
are really
not-
nice.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
All right, fair enough.
But I bought some stuff, and one of the things he had was the first volume of Essential Doctor Strange, which is black and white
Oh.
reprints of all the
Yeah.
first Doctor
Yeah.
Strange stories. So I actually unwittingly prepared for Tyler's question by buying this.
Hey.
I got a deal because, again, he's the only reasonable comics merchant in the Elkhorn Antique Flea Market. How many of the first 6 Doctor Strange stories do you guys think he fights Baron Mordo in?
There are 6 of them in there, you said?
Out of the first 6, because that's about as far as I've gotten in it so far, because I've been reading other stuff.
Well, it has to be more than one, otherwise you wouldn't be asking this question.
It is
I
more
think
than one.
4, and then he makes an appearance in a 5th.
Okay, Tyler?
Yeah, that's a pretty good guess, but I'll say 5 straight away.
Okay, it's straight up 4, because one of them is Doctor Strange's... Oh, no, wait. No, he's in the Origin. Hang on, Pat might be right.
Oh my god,
Oh!
I can't remember if I counted that as one of the 4 or not. Let's say 4. I think there are 2 that he's not in, because there are 2 where he fights Nightmare. There are 2 where he fights Nightmare, and there are 4 where Baron Mordo shows up. I believe is the record there. Which
Nice.
actually, really cool bit, quick. When Nightmare shows up in those first 2 stories, you don't actually see his face. It's all in shadow. Now when Nightmare shows up in comics, he's got like a really pale face and you just see it all the time. Nightmare not having a face and being like completely shrouded the same like the whole time. Great choice by Steve Ditko back in the day. I think we should go back to that.
Here's a random question though. Speaking of the Essential series, I thought those were a great idea in theory, because you get so many comics in one spot. But the black and white kind of kills it. I imagine it killed it even more for Doctor Strange because when he came out, or when the comics came out, the whole idea was look at this psychedelic guy, or all these psychedelic things in the colors and all that. Does it lose it in the Essential book or no?
So I still like it. I think you're right that it does lose stuff by not having the colors. I haven't gotten to ones that are quite as trippy as like some of the stuff you're probably thinking of later on in the run. But I think it definitely does lose some stuff for having the colors. I actually really like the Essentials books I have for like Iron Fist and Power Man and Iron Fist, and I don't think those really lose much of anything being in black and white, but that's kind of because those are like martial arts movies anyways.
I have Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider, and they both are just fine in black and white, but you lose a little bit in the Ghost Rider one, but other than that.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't really beat the price, which it sucks that they don't do the Essential series anymore, because it's like $16, and it's, again, a lot of these are like 8-page stories, but it's like 60 comics worth of 8 to 16-page stories. Like, that's pretty good value.
Can't go wrong, right? Yeah, I think the Fantastic Four one's like Fantastic Four 1 through 28 or something like that, plus an annual or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, cool for whatever I paid for it. Was great.
Yeah. The Essential Volumes rock. Bring those back, Marvel Comics.
If anyone is listening, us bash your shit for the second time that I've been on here.
Oh, I could go much harder on Marvel trade paperbacks than we're going right now. I've threatened to write that blog post in my head multiple times.
You're on thin ice, Marvel.
Marvel Comics. But yeah, like, so he fights Baron Mordo 4 times. He is actually called Doctor Strange, like Master of Black Magic instead of Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah, like he definitely has the same costume he has in this, where it's because you do see that on the back in color, and it's like
Yeah.
both light blues, and the amulet is square, and he's wearing his tights and his leopard print gloves. So yeah, there's a good amount of like old school reference in it that actually makes sense. I haven't actually got to it. Yeah, that's about it, Pat. Pat has posted a helpful picture in the chat.
Hear him.
I actually have I just looked back to verify, but I have a Doctor Strange figure behind me that is this costume.
Oh, the classic?
That he wears.
Oh,
the classic
sweet.
stuff. Yeah, from their Marvel Legends.
Ironically, I have an older Doctor Strange comics that I bought at the farmer's market here in Elkhorn. Maybe the same man and his wife.
It might be.
When they're not working the flea.
Well, we
working
don't
the
call
farm.
it that.
They go downtown, they go to the farmer's
market.
Yeah, it was something on the square. It wasn't in the.
Yeah.
So.
Maxwell Street days. Maybe.
Where was all this when we were kids, though, living there? Like, there was nobody selling comics on the square.
All we got were the KKK showing up that one time, and that wasn't exciting at all.
Oh God, I forgot what the KKK showed up with sometime. So, at the risk of it actually becoming the Elkhorn podcast, Elkhorn Farmers Market, it's fine.
It's fine. There's nothing to really write home about, but it's fine.
It's mostly people selling socks, but you know.
Socks are important, you know?
Honestly, the farmer's market just brings you downtown to where all the other stuff you want to go to is. But you fake it. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go over and buy a jar of Grandpa's, marmalade or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I'm gonna go across the street and go to the nice store and get ice cream or whatever Deacon's Aisle used to be.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I think this is the comic that I picked up, actually.
Oh,
Nice.
Nice get. Yeah.
That looks like a thing that the guy at the Elkhorn Antique Flea Market could have been selling from having rifled through his boxes. So
it was this podcast has all the power of cheese right now. This is great.
But yeah, so you were prepared for deep diving. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was nice to have basically like just stumbled into having the answer to Tyler's question.
Well, and with me not knowing anything about this story, when Strange gets killed for the first time, spoilers, happens very early, early, and I was like, well, where the hell is this going to go? Like, I thought it wasn't even going to be Doctor Strange centric because they have all the major players that are important now in Doctor Strange, and I was like, oh, this is going to be what, like a Voodoo and Wong story where they're trying to figure out what happened. No. You get classic Strange, and it works out. I think it works out. I don't hate the book, Matt. Don't get me wrong.
I don't hate the book.
It's just this the way it read was different, and I guess I'm just not used to it being that throwback kind of style anymore. You get used to the way we have it.
All right, so I'm gonna say my question, but I think then we're just gonna like basically dovetail that right into I'm gonna ask Pat why did he like the book. So my actual question is, was this story strange enough for you? Pat, why is your answer either yes but too much or no but not enough?
The more we dive into like comic-ass book comics, the more I must admit to myself that I'm a fake comic book fan. I don't actually like comic books. I don't know.
You're not a fake comic book fan, Pat. You're allowed to not like the book, but you're not allowed to not like this book. Why did you like this book?
Okay, shit. Oh, fuck.
I do feel like this is the second time you've said that after I've picked a book
Well,
or been on here. But I didn't pick this book, but I will say it's
Hey, we were going through. You've got decent numbers, all right? It's not just.
That's right. We were going the rack and stack. We won't. That's a spoiler for a different episode. We can't go into that.
No, this one's on me though, Tyler. So you're absolved.
I guess I just don't have the depth of knowledge to fully appreciate these types of stories. Like, I guess I just like the shallow version of Doctor Strange, or a Doctor Strange in a video game that I can make boxes of
So he
of
didn't turn anyone into a
mobsters,
box of the whole story.
which
So
honestly
that might
would
be it.
have got me like instantly, but no boxes, nary a
Well,
box to be seen.
so you feel like you just didn't have enough knowledge of like what was like the current state of Doctor Strange to get into it?
I
Is that
mean,
one of your things?
my problem is the story itself. I felt like hinged too much on the history, the knowledge base of who and what Doctor Strange is and what like all the characters around that. Because if you take all of that away, the main villain is basically Galactus again. The main problem is basically the way of the weird again. Magic is being destroyed, so all other magic people need to find help. Oh, look, they went to Earth to find help from Doctor Strange. Like it's the same story, and then it's wrapped up at the end very neatly, but the motivation of why he was killed is in a different book, Matt. It's like a whodunit, and the motivation of the killer was in a book 2 books ago.
You know, I I think that's fair and not fair at the same time.
I don't know. I feel like they could have written an actual motivation within this story. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
like it's like reading an Agatha Christie murder and being like, "Hey, that businessman cheated that old lady in the past." Like, you don't know that that happened until you read the story. I mean, I get that it's different
I
because that
guess.
story did actually happen in this case. So I see what you're saying. I think it's a fair and unfair criticism.
But like I didn't like the spoilers. The killer is Mordo's henchman,
Yeah,
which I can't even think what his name is. And he
Caecilius.
was pissed at
Yeah.
Strange because Strange exiled him to the purple dimension. So I don't know the guy, don't know that dimension, don't know why Strange did it to begin with. I guess I know that he's pissed about it because he says that in one of the first pages. But like, why would I don't know? Like the hatred that one guy felt, I guess. Did you guys know that his hatred was enough to like? How did he get the power to kill Doctor Strange in the beginning?
Well, he got it from the other four warlords who show up, who are all original Doctor Strange specials.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was too much too fast. Is my
Interesting.
problem. And the main plot was too similar to literally the last Doctor Strange comic that I read.
So
Do
I
you
do
think
think that that's different enough that I didn't even pick up on it. Like, it's not I'm eating all the magic; it's I'm killing magic
But
people.
why
I
does
guess
it need
part
to
of
be
eating the
I'm
magic,
eating the
though.
magic? It's like it's
Yeah,
Galactus. They even call the mothers his heralds. And just like you're not even trying for an original story. Just
I do.
like
I do think that's a big failing in the story is that
yeah.
the actual protagonist is
the
like just
Peregrine
there.
child or whatever it's
Yeah,
called. It's like boring as it's like, okay.
yeah, it's just
Big
kind of
evil
there.
eating thing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Like if they were gonna actually go into the murder of Doctor Strange, that should have been way more. We're gonna go after the real bad guy, the guy who murdered me. Like the as creepy as the three heralds are,
Yeah.
and the weird baby thing,
Yep.
they're like a side quest. It's like a weird side quest when the main bad guy, I always say his name wrong, Caecilius. But too,
Yeah.
you wonder a little bit if the MCU had some push on this one because he was the main villain in the first movie, and you just wonder like if they're like, oh, if somebody picks this up
Oh
off
fuck,
the
that's
street,
Caecilius. Oh my
yeah,
god.
I
and you
didn't
just
even remember that.
yeah, so like, but if somebody was like, I watched the Doctor Strange movie because it's on TBS every other day or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. This comic is at my local farmers market. I think I'll pick it up. You're gonna know him before you know Baron Mordo and before you know the rest of these one-off villains that came from Doctor Strange past. So you just wonder if that might have had something to do with it.
No, Carl's in the movie, right? Carl Mordo.
Yeah, I guess,
Maybe he
but
is. Yeah.
he's a good guy in the first movie.
I swear to God, I didn't even make the connection that Caecilius
I haven't seen that movie since it was in theaters, so
Not
He's
gonna lie,
even
I
got
turn it
the
on just to
same.
have a background noise every now and then.
It's got the same drippy eye makeup and everything. I should
Yeah.
have made the connection. My God.
yeah, Pat, don't you feel dumb for not
I
liking this
I
podcast?
started this saying I'm a fake fan, so
Yeah, he defended himself pretty well on that, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, so part of the reason I asked, like, was this story strange enough for you, is I do think there were some misses.
it wasn't strange enough for me because I felt mainly the main villains were too Marvel generic. It's a
Yeah,
big, huge, can't even contemplate how evil and awful guy is with heralds or like lieutenants. Like Thanos had those 3 or 4 lieutenants for him that they had to deal with first. It's like it's been done so many times that I'm just like, oh, okay.
yeah, it's a trope for sure. And like the stuff that made them interesting, we didn't really even get to see much of.
I don't know
like,
anything about them. We got the worm mom, we got the magic mom, and we got the
Bad
Thor
mom.
mom. Yeah, like
Yeah. But they mostly all just shot lasers also. Like that's one of my critiques of this is that
Yes.
like all the magic is just like weird
Pew, pew, pew.
weird energy. Like which is kind of how Marvel magic works. So maybe that's not a great criticism, but it was
Hey,
especially
Flibberty
noticeable
Gibbet
this
was
one.
pretty awesome. All right, Flibberty
Liberty
Gibbet
Gibbet was cool. I
MVP.
thought you would like Liberty Gibbet, so I'm glad that
Heck yeah,
did
best
land.
part.
Okay,
That
good.
and the ghost basset hound, two favorite. So I guess ghosts were just my thing. I don't know. Spirits.
Yeah, Bats is actually from I think the run just prior to this too. So which is between
Nice.
our Jason Aaron story we read
Yeah.
and this. So
I was gonna say I didn't know who Bats was, but I like Bats. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Bats.
Honestly, like the school setting was more interesting to me. It's like, oh look, it's Mini Dormammu. That's fun. Oh,
So
we're
that's
moving away from it. Never mind.
like why were the Avengers in this as much as they were, other than like Tyler was saying, like MCU synergy? It's just like there's so many magic users. We see them for like a panel here and there, like their head shows up in that Wong scene where he's like
Yeah.
talking to all the magic users. Like we see, but instead we get the Avengers and the X-Men in this Doctor Strange. Like, why are the X-Men in this Doctor Strange story?
And not only the X-Men show up kind of unexpectedly at the very end.
Yeah,
And like the Avengers, Black Panther shows up and he's in like a panel, doesn't say anything, never seen again.
Yep.
Like it's just
It's that kind of stuff that just burns me out. It's just like, why?
which is why I don't, like I said, I don't think it's a bad comic because it does what I think it wants to do, telling Doctor Strange story. But it is flawed. Like there's a lot of, like you said, the main tropes and stuff that just doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I think the MCU might have had more push on this one than we might be thinking. Because look at they're coming out with the Captain Marvel movies, and this was what 2022. This came out.
2021. I think it was roughly around the time the second Strange movie would have come out.
Yeah, and so you have that plus the Avengers Endgame was the biggest movie of all time. Like you got a lot of reasons to think that if I show Iron Man and I show Captain America, people are going to be interested in this.
Show up, yeah.
So yeah,
But it would have been cool to see the magic users solve magic problems, which I mean, ultimately they kind of did. But even
They made a big Bernie star in the sky. Come on.
That's one of my critiques. Is like the magic is not strange enough. Like it should be weirder. Like I'm looking at some of the I was paging through the Essential Doctor Strange book, and you see these like strange, weird like dimensionscapes that Tyler's talking about, where it's like when they lose color, they lose little something. Like a lot of this you could print in black and white, and like you'd be fine because it's not really that. Like it's not that weird. Like it doesn't lose that much by not being in color when it's just like a giant pentagram in the sky that's on fire and like that's it. Like
that's more of a Ghost Rider thing. Why is that not a Ghost Rider?
Why is it flames? It's so weird.
Yeah.
And I mean,
What
I
did this
actually
do?
really like this artist. Like I like Lee Garbett's stuff. And I think the fact that he gets to draw Steve Ditko Doctor Strange is cool because he's very good at like mimicking different eras, so it's kind of cool to see him get to do that in here, and maybe that's why they like put him on this miniseries. But I think maybe not the exact right choice for the weird shit, which I wish we'd got. Like, I wanted to see those worms in Iron Man's armor. Damn it!
Oh, he was not having a good time.
No, but like,
having a
show it
bad
to me.
time.
Like, show me something that's unique and it's not just laser beams, but magic. You know,
And the
Like,
worms did shoot laser beams eventually. So.
everyone just shot laser beams. I think, except maybe the Crown didn't shoot laser beams.
Yeah, he had a big sword.
Yeah, just had a laser sword instead.
Laser sword, yeah. No, and I mentioned earlier too, the art is really well done. Like the colors and stuff and the art I think is top notch. But yeah, I mean, there is nothing Doctor Strangey about it when it's all said and done. Other than maybe for like a minute when Classic Strange is about to vanish and die and he gets eaten. Like that's the closest thing we get to like old school Strange.
I mean, I like that
different
he
universe.
defeats what's his name?
Big Giant Baby or
No. That guy. I like that he defeats him with a healing spell. That feels like a very
So that's my favorite
Doctor
scene
Strange.
in the book. I think I texted you guys about this. Like, I have a hands down favorite scene in this book. And it's the scene where old Doctor Strange hardcore basically like murders a man by regenerating current Doctor Strange by using his body. Like,
It's fucked.
that scene was fucked up. And it was cool. And the dialogue was really good. And the art was even like mostly on point because a lot of it was character acting and not like supposed to be weird stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Lee Garbett does really good character acting. No criticism there. But like that scene's the best scene in the book to me because it's actually strange. It's what's on the cover.
Also,
a man made a man into another man who was him.
the dialogue in that is awesome too. Like,
yeah,
when he says, "You can't do this. You can't make me into you. This is inhuman." And he goes, and Doctor Strange says, "I am the master of black magic. I am inhuman when it is required." Dude, drop the mic.
It's so good.
right like there.
Great use of the old tagline for like actually I do bad shit.
Yeah. Because, Doctor Strange is kind of one of those characters that you have to hate a little bit because he was so arrogant and all that. And this is kind of that moment where he's like, yeah, I can be a badass if I have to be.
Yeah.
And he does it twice. He does it in this moment and he does it when he's going through Mordo's castle. Where he's just like, this is me not holding back. Like, this is what I could be if I wasn't eating a cheeseburger with a ghost dog.
Yeah, if I wasn't just performing normal surgeries now.
Normal
which is
surgeries and stuff.
I mean, he can do whatever he wants, but doesn't feel like an efficient use of the Sorcerer Supreme's time. Whatever, it's fine.
Right. Especially when you find out that he can totally regenerate a human if he's got some hands.
Well, he needs
It's a good spell.
It's a good
spell. Yeah,
it's a good spell. Yeah, I guess it's strange, but I don't know if it's strange enough. I think I'm with Pat there.
I do think the casting is off on this, like the artist casting is off on this in a way that it's not on the current series. Like the stuff that Jesus Saiz is doing in the current series is much weirder than this, and like it's very much like the characters look a little bit weirder too. Like they kind of just exist in a stranger space, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. Where even like Stephen Strange looks very much closer to the Ditko Strange throughout that book than he does the Doctor Strange that Lee Garbett is drawing in the present day here. So I would say if that's your primary criticism of the book, maybe the current series still works for you. I don't know. It does also play off of stuff that has happened both in this miniseries and in the Clea got basically like her own miniseries for a bit until Doctor Strange came back for real. So that stuff's all kind of in there too.
Do we also find it a little strange that odd? My bad. We should have started like a counter and had a bell anytime somebody said, "Wow, that's strange." Ding! No shit, that's what we're reading. You know who solves the mystery in all this, right? I don't know if Bats solves the damn mystery. So Doctor Strange if we're gonna piece this all together, so was this story strange enough? All right, that's the base of this question.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange at one point cuts out a piece of his soul just in case he gets murdered in the future to come back and solve
put
the
his affairs
mystery.
in order.
Put his affairs in order, make sure everything's the rent's paid or whatever and all that
Good to
good
go,
stuff.
yeah.
Finds out he gets murdered and all that, but can't figure out who it is. But a ghost dog goes, "Yeah, it's somebody who hates both of you guys." And he goes, "Oh, zounds! I know who it is. Like, he didn't do shit. All this was for nothing." On Doctor Strange's part, he did all this stuff and was like, I should have figured out another way to being the Sorcerer Supreme and all, and being able to do stuff like that. I don't know, left some notes, or something like, "Hey, by the way, I got a Ring doorbell installed, so you can see who knocks on the door and murdered me. So, like, just check out this. If you don't understand it, ask the gal in the hat." That's what should have happened.
You would think his apartment, which we've seen like full of just like crazy stuff in the Jason Aaron run, right? Like I remember being like really amazed by those Chris Bocello pages when we were reading that one, and like the stuff he would put in there. Probably does have some sort of like magical security camera, right?
Yeah, has to, right? Or be like, "Hey, you know that spell that we've done a couple times when we asked that guy to bargain? Turn the clock back 20 minutes, give or take. You'll see him. He's like running down the street, knocking people over, knocking like food vendors."
Well, you would think
over.
A spell that's powerful enough to kill a Sorcerer Supreme and steal his soul would leave some sort of trace behind, right?
Yeah, that's not super adequately explained. Of like, he has the power from these 4 warlords, so he's powerful enough to kill Doctor Strange, I guess. None of those 4 warlords was ever able to kill.
This is what my problem was. Like, these people who are being picked off by the moms and then are terrified of Strange when he shows up are the reason that he died in the beginning? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a legit criticism. I will say Bat's like being the one to kind of solve it, / Strange is just talking to him and puts it together. We were talking about this being a throwback comic, like that's classic murder mystery where the detective's just like talking to someone and is like, "I've got it," and then pulls them all together. Like,
sure, but it's a pretty basic connection that the dog made. It's like, what are the motivations of all the people who want to kill you?
The doctor, not a detective, damn it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I will say I enjoyed this book. Like I think I've read it 3 times now for the podcast, but I will say that like I would be interested to see what it looks like with a different artist and without the Avengers and the X-Men just shanghaied into it for kind of no reason. Like those are my primary critiques, is like art not weird enough. Why are these non-magic people here? Get them out of my story.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I don't think it's bad. There's just some stuff that it's just like, you're right. There's, why did we not use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 magic people to fight the 3 bad guys as the Avengers come flying in?
Like Dr. Voodoo was there. I like Dr. Voodoo. I've been rereading his like short-lived, almost 2008 or something series. It was only like 5 issues. It was great. Why didn't he get to do stuff?
Also, this would have set up another like it probably does. Who's the next Sorcerer Supreme? Like it did back then. Like, is that?
Well, no, because it's kind of like weird. Blink and you miss it, but he does just give it to Clea at the end. Like,
yeah, but I thought it was just like, here's this, give this to the next Sorcerer Supreme.
No, she goes on to be the Sorcerer Supreme of both Earth and the Dark,
both dimensions,
and the Dark Dimension for about. Oh God, let me see if I can look that up quick. You guys talk. I'll figure out.
Ashanti, get your shit together.
Come on.
Yeah. But it's funny because she's just also Doctor Strange. I think she's also just called Doctor Strange.
She takes his name. That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean,
can we just talk about the ending? Can we just talk about the fact that he just disappears into magic dust?
Oh, it's just called Strange, by the way. The book where Clea is the Sorcerer Supreme of both Earth and the Dark Dimension.
I think it's a a fine ending. I will say that I think it's okay. It's surprising. I guess I didn't think he was going to die thrice.
I don't know how
So
you guys can throw any shade at this comic. It says called The Death of Doctor Strange, and you got 3 deaths of Doctor Strange.
yeah, well, so I was thinking, stupid me, that it was like a normal comic book death of series where they die and they come back and then whatever. Like nothing, no one ever stays dead in comics, right? There's
Yeah.
been like what 4 people who've died for real,
Right.
I
and
mean,
they're all Spider-Man characters, as like
mostly, yeah.
Uncle Ben and Gwen and Ned and that. I
There's
don't know who the other 2
there's an
are.
alternate variant
Yeah.
cover that does the same joke in the back of it.
Yeah. Yes, that is good stuff. That one there. Don't usually stay dead.
I mean,
But like
the
this
quote
one,
of real death at the end sticks for less than a year because I looked up how long Clea's series is. It's 10 issues.
yeah.
Oh man.
But I think it was surprising because Bat solves the mystery. They banish everybody to hell or wherever it is they send them. They kill a baby, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, happy ending, right? False. Pixie dust. Like, and you're like, oh shit,
Like
he actually dies, which is you don't get a lot of stories. It's like when they did the Punisher kills the Marvel Universe. Ah, crap, he actually did. Like, it's you don't expect it to actually live up to the title, and this one did.
like I guess if they sort of showed their hand with the whole inner monologue again of Stephen like saying, well, death will want her price paid and nothing was paid, so this is going to be temporary. Like I didn't like that. I wish that it had like shown like when they cast the healing spell that gave him his body back. Like if something was said there's like this is only a temporary measure. This spell isn't meant to last more than I don't know, a day or something like that, and just to set it up there. But I guess you wouldn't have like the surprise of fairy dust at the end.
Also, that last chapter, or what would have been a comic, is only 1, 2, 3 pages.
Yep.
Chapter 13 is 3 pages.
Sure.
That's when I was reading this, I was like, wait, there's got to be more to it than that, right? Like that can't be the end of it. That was 3 pages, but okay. The covers are cool. Like if you go like talk about is this strange enough for you? If you look at all the covers,
The variant covers are fucking awesome.
all of the covers art is the coolest. Is some of the cooler comic covers
Yeah, very
I've seen in a long
psychedelic
time.
and or metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
They're very
variant
cool.
ones too, like kick it up another notch, and yeah. But then you're like, oh wait, none of that translates into the fucking book, so whatever.
Where is this in the actual book?
Yeah.
Most of it's laser beams.
First off, yeah, I see Doctor Strange in let's see, I see Doctor Strange floating in front of a giant skull. That's gonna be cool. Here are the Avengers.
Here's Captain America, the
Yeah.
man most qualified to fight dimensional magic eater beings.
Yeah, look, yeah, there's the 3 heralds over the
Over the grave.
over the grave. Here is a ghost dog. Like it. Wait, what? And I know comic covers have always done that, but
I mean, look how
These are the ones.
badass that cover is. I mean, hot
Yeah.
damn.
that's like a phone
Master of the
wallpaper
dark
with-
arts right there. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I do wonder if the series was always intended with him to actually like die at the end, or they decided to swerve on that for some reason. Because like, again,
It just-
Clea gets that series where she's the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth and the Dark Dimension. It only goes 10 issues, and it's like, well, how much of that was like they were giving themselves room because they didn't want to start the new Doctor Strange series yet for some reason, and so they decided like instead of just launching a new Doctor Strange series out of this, they would give him a break for a minute. Which I was trying to figure out if that would be timing with like, was the movie delayed or something like that, but I don't think that would have anything to do with it based on what I was looking up.
I don't know.
Well.
Maybe it's too melodramatic, but I would have sort of liked it if Steven went home and had like a quiet night at home with Clea, and then like he
And then
knows that he
disappeared,
doesn't
yeah.
have time, and like the whole like I don't know. He's written a note to her to say that she has to take his role for a time, and left it on the pillow, and he's disappeared. Like the I don't know. That is much more melodramatic, but I like it more than just like a battle over, kiss the girl, turned into dust. It was just like
No, it does feel a little clipped in a way that like it could just be the things they're doing with pacing in this, like we were talking about before. Like maybe it's just on purpose and it was always that way, but it could also be to me that like somewhere in the course of actually making the miniseries, plans changed and we didn't get the original ending. We got this ending that sets it up to give us 10 months to like take Doctor Strange off the board. I don't know. That's all armchair or like Monday morning quarterbacking / conjecture,
Sure.
but it kind of feels like that to me. So
And two, it's like the way that the actual trade or the digital copy or whatever, it reads more like just a graphic novel book than it does a series of comics
yeah,
put together. Because there's no way this last 3 pages would have been something that they released like as a monthly thing. So it's kind of, you wonder where that actual like break was, where this is what we're going to put on the shelves for people to buy, and this is kind of how it ends. You know what I mean? Where
yeah.
like,
I'm trying to figure out where I thought I think the break for no, maybe it wouldn't be because I'm not sure that's enough pages actually. Because I was like, the end of chapter 10 felt like an issue break to me. But I don't think 11 to 13 is enough pages for a full issue.
That's where I think the thing would be, because who doesn't want to end a comic with a weird mustache baby and a bunch of penguins running around? Like that seems like where it would be. So you get, a normal Marvel final issue battle, right? And then, but I agree. Like they could have done an ending, like Pat said, where they kind of go back to the modern day Strange. They go back to the Sanctum, and he finally gets to do that bath with Epsom salts he talks about.
Yeah.
And, he goes for walkies with bats one more time, and kind of.
I actually do kind of like that ending better. I don't like to play like, oh, I wish the comic was this when we do these things, but I'm willing to endorse that one because I do like that ending a little bit better.
Especially because Classic Strange did all this stuff to kind of patch up whatever was wrong with the marriage, I guess. With Clea and him.
In the like new Doctor Strange series that is going on right now, they're fast becoming one of my favorite Marvel couples, actually. Because he's just like kind of chill, and she just always wants to like rage off at whoever they're fighting or who they have confrontations with. So I actually really enjoy their dynamic, and you don't get to see as much of it here, obviously, because Doctor Strange is dead for most of the series. But I really liked that scene actually, where one of the main things that past Doctor Strange decides is important enough to get across with his brief time on Earth before he disappears is, hey, you're a moron. You should be with your awesome wife.
Again, he's a bad guy hero that you cheer for, right? Like he doesn't always the best human, so
yeah.
Kind of falls in line with that too.
All right, guys, should we tackle Pat's hard-hitting?
Oh, jeez, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, Pat had the most important question, I think, out of all of us on this.
I did. It's true. So yeah, the opening of the comic, Steven is referencing a fable that really gave him the idea to save a little sliver of himself locked in time for, a stormy weather, a bad day. And that's the story of Koschei the Deathless. And if you know the story, Koschei takes his soul, puts it in a needle, puts it in an egg, puts that egg in a duck, puts the duck into a rabbit, puts that rabbit into a chest, and then hides the fuck out of that chest. So my question is, did Koschei invent the turducken?
I mean, by definition, no.
But John Madden somewhere.
You guys are being too literal. No. It's the impetus. It's the I think Koshe opened up our reality to the possibility of that kind of gourmet being, you know?
I feel like Koshe was not the first to put a thing in another thing.
I don't know. You want to dig through Russian fairy tales to find someone else? Because
I will say he did put it into a duck, and a duck is part of a turducken. So
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to agree with that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you got that.
And it is sort of like the middle bit of it, too.
yeah,
I mean, I wrote out
Turkey,
here in
duck,
the-
chicken, needle, egg, duck, rabbit,
so
chest. Middle
you
part of it.
so now, and we also know which came first now, the chicken or the egg, because obviously the egg did,
True.
because that went into the duck. So it makes sense now. The whole
Yeah.
turducken lineup.
didn't
What I'm
have
saying.
any chicken to
That's
put
what I'm
the duck
saying.
in because it hadn't hatched yet from the egg.
He was
Yeah.
planning ahead.
Yeah, this all, I was going to say no, but in the last 30 seconds of this discussion, I'm going to side with Pat that I think he might have.
Yeah.
I think he might have.
You got to open yourself up to the strange, and I think it's there.
I mean, again, he invented the Negukbadist, so that's the real thing that was made here.
What did you say about my mother? How dare you?
I would
You take
never
that
say
back.
anything mean about your mother. She's a wonderful lady. She's always very nice to me.
Now, what was part 2 of your question?
I was gonna say, are we doing part 2 of your question, or do we feel like we've reached peak podcast and we just?
I mean, how could you follow that one up, really?
I feel like it fits in, right?
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Also, there's only really one answer for that second question, so
Okay, now we have to do it.
Now you got to
because
do
we're
it.
gonna
Now we got to do it. Here we go.
Disagree.
Yeah. This is just, we're all going to disagree, I'm pretty sure.
all right. So the second, obviously, throwaway. Why even bother with the question that I had is, what is your favorite classic Doctor Strange-ism? On the count of 3, we're all gonna say it. All right.
Okay, hang on. I gotta look it up to make sure I say it right.
I'm probably going to say it wrong, but I have mine. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
2 seconds.
Ready?
Bam,
No.
bam, bam, bam. I'll just say it. I can't find it. I know he does use it in here a couple times. I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Well, you're wrong because it hasn't been said in this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, then we all have a different one now.
Oh, God. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Hori
Hosohaga.
Hosohaga.
He does
Oh
say,
my
okay,
God!
we
We
say
were all right. There we go.
He says it twice in here. I
Does
looked
he?
at it today. Yeah.
Where?
He says it when Captain America calls him on the.
Yeah,
ID
that's
card.
the first one. I just found that one. And there's one later on, too.
Lies.
I think it's when he's talking to bats, maybe?
No.
He definitely says it twice.
No.
I'll clip
I'm
it and I'll
looking
put
right
it in
now.
the show notes for
Oh
you,
my
Pat.
God. Oh my God.
Does he say it when he's talking to bats? I had that page pulled up just a minute ago, and then I scrolled away for some stupid reason.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely
Oh
says
my
it
God.
twice.
Look, he says it right there.
Is it when he's talking to bats? Was I right?
No, I see the Captain America
Oh, the
one.
Captain America one.
It's when Bats solves the crime. I'm glad we were all right, though. That's the.
Yeah, I mean that's the real takeaway here is that we have the correct
We are
answer.
all children, and the hoary hosts are the right answer.
I was actually going to look up before we started what hoary spelt that way means.
It means
Grayish
like, yeah.
white. Grayish white. But the grayish white house of Hogwarts.
So, I'm sure those hosts get around too. So, one or two of them may.
Google is telling me that an alternative meaning is old and trite by the trite house of Hogwarts. Just those old things.
Yeah, he only does say it once, so that's kind of disappointing.
I'll find it. I know there's a second one. I'll put both in the show notes. Now I can't just return the book tomorrow because I'm gonna have to flip through and take some pictures.
Here, I'll do a screenshot of it for you, save you time.
Yeah,
You have to find the second one yourself. Yeah.
Second one, yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad we wrapped that one up succinctly, and there wasn't any argument.
If there was a different answer by anybody, I would question them. I really would.
I mean, Winds of Watum are also pretty good, but
Yeah, Crimson Bands of Ciderock. I mean, it's something.
Yeah.
It's not as good though.
It's not as good. Doesn't. Yeah.
In fact, I'm surprised they went with was it Voom?
Zounds?
Zounds. As like the That's his
The
that's his
go-to.
go-to
Which
thing.
word, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Zounds yet in Essential Doctor Strange, so we'll
Yeah.
see. I'm sure it'll pop up before the end of the volume, though.
At this point, it better because God, they made it
They
kind of
really did
a
lean
key
on it,
part
yeah.
of this story.
So, boys, did you come with recommendations for what people should read if they like this book?
Oh, when we started, I thought of one and now I've forgotten it. So maybe you do yours and see what happens.
Okay. I mean, I
Roll
would
the
just push
dice.
people like the current Doctor Strange series written by Jed MacKay, art by Jesus Saiz, I think is better than this. So like if you liked this, you'll probably also like that and you might even like it more. I think the art is like it's a better casting. I really like Strange and Clea's dynamic. Each issue so far has mostly been like a one and done with some like plot points like strung along between each issue, like subplots, which again kind of feels more old school comicsy to me. Like it's definitely not written as like a 6 issue like trade paperback level story. Like it will be a bigger story, but you read each issue and you're like, oh, that was a complete unit of story. So that's been nice. So I'd just recommend that. If you like this one, read that one. Maybe read the Clea series. I read a few issues of that and it was pretty decent, but I don't think you even need to read that one. I could be wrong though, because I didn't really think you needed to read anything to read this book.
Did you know,
It's
Matt? That's
very-
not true. Really?
I like the only stuff I've read about this, like for this that you haven't probably, Pat, is like maybe some of the really old Doctor Strange
I
stuff.
was gonna say, but
Like-
you know the side characters though that I
I mean, I've
certainly
never
don't, right?
read anything with bats in it before. I've seen bats pop up on Reddit because Reddit loves a ghost dog. But
Yeah, they do.
What about like the dimensional villains that show up and move there?
no, not really. I mean, they all
You
show
know?
up, I think, in the first Essential Doctor Strange volume, but I haven't gotten to them yet.
Of course they do.
Umar
Yeah.
actually was in the most recent issue of the current series, and I think she's gonna marry Agamon, the guy from the Purple Dimension.
Nice.
So again, like the stuff that happens in here is still like being paid off in the current series too. So that's another reason that I would recommend that is like it definitely follows straight through, and there are plot points that are still happening that were set up in this. So
Also, in Matt's defense, also this does tell a complete story from start to finish, whether you like how it gets there or not. This
Yeah.
it does start and end and tell something in the middle.
okay, but also I'll play devil's advocate on this one. I think it does end with literally to be continued. No, the beginning. Sorry, or the
Yeah,
final words of the book. So
yeah, it does do say the beginning.
I'm willing to
but
concede that this is part of the perpetual superhero motion machine. Like that's
Yeah.
fine. I think it was good. It has flaws. We discussed them, but
Yeah.
Did you remember your recommendation,
I
Pat?
did. It's a very loose, just like I wouldn't even call it tangential, really. Just like barest of breeze is similar between these two. But you know how this murder mystery is Stephen Strange trying to solve his own murder.
Yeah.
If you like that, then it's sort of like the first season of Altered Carbon on Netflix, except it's really, I mean, it's kind of, but it's really good. And I liked Altered Carbon the first season. I don't know about the next two. I heard they aren't great, but the first season, it's science fiction. It's not magic. It's not a comic book, but a rich dude dies, and because it's the future, he's able to upload himself into a new body, and he hires a detective to find out why he was killed. So it's kind of similar. That's my recommendation. Altered Carbon season 1.
Well, that's a lot closer to this than any of my recommendations are.
Hey,
Because, like I said earlier, I'm kind of out of the comic book game, so I haven't been keeping up with them lately. And I've been reading real books. So last time I was on here, I not that comics aren't real books. I should rephrase that, but
I was gonna say just
they're just
somewhere
they're very simple. But
thousands of nerds cried out and then were
yeah.
silenced.
You and my 8th grade teacher, Tyler.
Yeah. Yeah. But last time I recommended a paperback, and I'm going to suggest one. If that's has the only magic it has is the magic of baseball. It is a book called Welcome to the Circus of Baseball. It's by Ryan McGee. He's a fantastic writer, and it is a story about his year intern when he was an intern, the year 1994, for a minor league baseball team. It's very entertaining, whether you like baseball or not. It's just kind of a fun read, easy read, like a good tail end of the summer. I kind of want to get a book in. This one is that. And then, if you haven't seen it, watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It is
For good things.
It is fantastic. I finally watched it the other day. I didn't see it in theaters, which is weird because that is Guardians 1 is like my favorite movie of all time. I really like it. Which I know is saying a lot when I've seen, some pretty good movies. I just really like that one. But I waited. I didn't see it in theaters. Ended up buying it on digital. My dad came over. We played cribbage and watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And we're two like men, so we can't cry in front of each other. But you want to. It's so good. It's such a good movie. I'm not going to give anything away, but it ties up that series so well, better than any of the other Marvel movies have done their characters justice. This one really does it well. So yeah, there you go. A baseball book and a movie. You want to talk about, is this strange enough for you? We just did it. We got it.
I was going to ask you, is there any black magic in the baseball book?
Not to give it away.
Oh shit! No spoilers.
There is a chapter about a stuntman. Right away, like it's like I think it's the intro chapter, like the prelude. A stuntman called Captain Dynamite. That's as close as we get to magic without giving it away.
We're close.
All right.
We're close.
Yeah. So there's some magic on the minor league baseball diamond, if you want to call it that.
Well, that sounds great. And I think that recommendation is going to do it for this month's discussion of The Death of Doctor Strange. As always, if you want to get in touch with Pat or myself, you can email us at waitingonthetrade@gmail.com. You can find more comics-related goodness, including past episodes of the podcast, at mattreadscomics.com. Tyler, are you on the internet these days?
I am. Twitch over at True King T. Twitch.tv/TrueKingT. I'm not on there a lot. I don't stream as much as I used to because it is more stressful and annoying than people think. But go follow me when I go live. You can join in.
It's always entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tyler, for coming on to talk about this comic that I thought we would like more than we did.
No, thank you. Thank you for the suggestion. It was a nice addition to the Doctor Strange library, and I will take your word for it and read the ongoing one here pretty soon.